Hey everybody, welcome back to Northernlion Plays the Binding of Isaac AFTERBIRTH Plus. It's like we're about to potentially be on a double-digit streak. There's no better character, no better blank canvas for that situation than Isaac. Q2XM Rob 8. I don't know, I can barely handle Rob 1, brother. I'll tell you, I'm real happy to have the D6 when you see that your first item is Isaac's heart. I already got Isaac's heart. It's inside of Isaac's thoracic cavity. Don't really want Mongo Baby either. Kind of just like, you know, we'll probably get some more rerolls. I will say, is the Devil's Gambit here early. Do you want to open a golden chest when you might not, I mean, we don't have a key yet, but do you want to open a golden chest when you have one key if you might not get another key? Okay, well, never mind. Look, I was trying to build a moment. It didn't necessarily work out. Life goes on. All I'm going to say about the little pseudo streak we got going on here is I'm grateful, but it does feel a little undeserved. Not undeserved, but we didn't work that hard for it, you know? We have had a couple of spotty runs that required a little bit of attention and a reimagining of how we evaluate certain criteria and items in the game, but then, like, secondarily, we've had a lot of sub 30-minute runs that were basically a stomp. I'm grateful for that, to be honest. I mean, here's the thing, you know? Maybe you get an A in an easy course. Does that mean, you know, you should feel guilty? I don't think so. I mean, let's say you got an A+ in an easy course. You know, just because you got 100 out of 100 on an easy exam, you shouldn't feel bad. I mean, obviously, but I mean, you shouldn't feel like, yeah, but it was easy. You literally can't do better than that. If you've already performed up to, you know, the literal maximum possible aptitude, what are you gonna do, you know? What I'm trying to say is basically, hey, we've won 9 runs in a row, but you know, maybe some of those runs have been easy, but you can't win more than 9 runs out of 9 runs. Oh, it's so good. The seeds have been there if you believe. That's what I'm trying to say. Dude, I'm upset. I'm rattled. Not really, but let's pretend that for the bit. This happens now and then. You know, as mentioned myriad times in the last week or so of Isaac videos. You know, I'm headed to PAX this Thursday. Love going to PAX. PAX West, at least. Bostonians, don't feel bad. I've said some things about your city that were probably steeped in ignorance, but, you know, you'll never be able to compete with PAX West for somebody that lives in driving distance of PAX West. It's the same reason Mathis is like, you know, I don't really want to go to PAX West. You know, he can drive to East. I can't blame him for that, even if I think he is wrong. We're not going to go deeper than this. We're gonna hold steady right there. Got a bomb in return. Try this out. Okay. Worth a shot. But so many cool... Don't do it. Don't! I saw it coming a mile away, but I got hemmed in. It's okay. No fear. Dude, we gotta be real careful. Some of these enemies do 1 heart of damage. I mean, a single champion would do 1 heart of damage. We shouldn't have gotten this risky with it. Mom's pad. It's okay. It's a good reroll situation. Maybe shoot all the fires first. D Infinity is the D8. That's extremely good. That's an unbelievably strong roll. Although our speed is not good. Dude, seriously, like, I'm not mad, but just a single red heart out of all the consumable opportunities we've had. Anyway, our rate of fire is incredible. Everything there is totally... This run is set for greatness if we don't screw up this floor. More than we already have. But so many cool games are coming out. Oh, you scared me. Are coming out in the PAX corridor. You know, just this week. I mean, you know, I don't want to say, oh, I'm so busy. But, like, I don't have time to check out new games this week. Just busy backlogging and streaming, getting ahead of things for PAX, right? Cleaning my apartment, blah, blah, blah. Hold on. Who we got? Little Horn, not a big deal. Our DPS is so disgustingly good. We just never should have gambled that much on the blood bank, to be honest. That's, again, I'm happy it didn't cause us, you know, a great amount of actual distress, but, like, could have gone badly. No deal with the devil. I accept this. I feel like I deserve this. Life goes on. What I was gonna say, you know, Control from Remedy just came out this week. I've never played Alan Wake. I've never played Quantum Break, but Control looks very interesting. I love that kind of horrifying sci-fi stuff, which means I should probably play Alien Isolation. I should probably play Soma, games in that ilk. Have not yet, but, you know, they're on the list. Hey, Halloween's, you know, closing in. It's a yikesable moment. Compass is great, okay. But we unfortunately won't be able to purchase, or won't be able to reroll D Infinity, and I kind of just want to keep the D6. We'll see if maybe we can find a secret room. But on top of that, Astral Chain, you know, the new game from Platinum. I don't know if I'll play it, but I'm interested in it, and the response to the game has been overwhelmingly positive. And then on top of that, Supermassive, the makers of Until Dawn, have a new co-op horror game out that 100% I'm gonna play. But did it have to come out the weekend of PAX West? I mean, I get that if you're trying to, well, the week of PAX West, I should say, but if you're trying to avoid a major convention in 2019, it's not friggin' possible, you know? There's well, this week is Indie Pop, and then next week is Dragon Con. Then we got ClopCon, and then, of course, don't forget about PAX Central, and then meow, 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 meow. It just never ends, but this is mine. So I take it as a personal... It's not mine, it's my favorite, so I take it as a personal attack. Especially, I mean, come on. Until Dawn, one of my favorite subscriber stream games ever. Anyway, we'll play that when we get back, but it always feels bad to be missing out. I will tell you though, you know what game that was like 2 or 3 years ago was Mad Max. People were like, "Oh my God, Mad Max!" It was Mad Max, and then like I think Metal Gear Solid 5 came out like in the same period. People were like, "Yo, MGS 5 is apparently amazing," but yeah, of course, everybody expected it to be pretty great. And I feel like the discourse has changed a little bit on MGS 5, but, you know, I'm not really a gearhead in that sense, or in any sense for that matter. Except bicycles, maybe, like, now and then, but not so much. But I remember Mathis being like, dude, I gotta get home and play Mad Max. I don't know if he ever did. Keep me posted. I think I saw him stream it once. Anyway, it is what it is. Dude, I'm excited, you know, from a game standpoint. It's one of my favorite Isaac topics. I think 2019 has been very good for games, for sure. I've been playing a lot of Dicey, can't deny that. I think Dicey's a great game, but I'm definitely starting to hit, I wouldn't call it like a wall with Dicey, but I'm starting to realize that what originally appeared to be like a lot of replayability and complexity is sort of, it's not there, if that makes sense. It's not intended to be a game, from what I can tell, that's meant to be replayed for 500 hours. It's more like, you know, beat all the episodes, you saw all the cool, you know, things we were doing with the variants, and then, you know, you go play something else. Idiot, you know, life's short. That's okay. What it lacks, like, I'll tell you, I prefer Slay the Spire, for sure. There's no recency bias happening on that one. But what I like about it is the fact that it hits you with these variants, and you see what the variants do, you go, oh, cool. And then you go, all right, well, I don't necessarily need to play that episode ever again. The challenge is done. It's like, imagine if Isaac was exclusively challenge runs. That's how I'm feeling about that game right now. Positive, but, you know, the legs are not necessarily there. But still, like, one of the best games of the year. On the top 10, not sure if it's the top 5, but I'm excited for so much other stuff coming out, you know? September? Surprise. I mean, September, October, November. That's where you're at if you're a AAA fanatic. You know, that's where you're looking for your new Call of Duties and your new Assassin's Creed. And what are the kids playing these days? Asteroids 4? Galaga? Defender? I wouldn't say excited, but I will play Borderlands 3. In all likelihood, at least, if it ends up being a Team Unity thing. I'm excited for that super massive game. I want more FMV games. Don't get me wrong, I understand why... Oh, so worth it. We took a risk, it paid off there. I understand why people don't make them. It's worth a shot. Don't make them that much, I should say. You know, FMV, it was a... I think one of the reasons I have a fondness for that is my formative, like, growing up video game years happened during an era where full motion video first came out in video games and also seemed like, oh my god, this is the future, dude. Like, literally between the ages of like 7 to 12, it really seemed to me, and I'm not gonna say to everybody, but to lots of people, like, the future of video games was Hollywood actors starring in these games with pretty terrible writing and, you know, not so fantastic mechanics. And then, you know, the whole point of the game is, hey, you beat a section, now you get a blurry, like, I don't even know, not even 640 by 180, or 640 by 480, I should say, but like a, you know, 320 by 240 video where, like, you know, Clive Owen punches a dude in a prosthetic alien head. Although back then nobody knew who Clive Owen was, to be fair. But, you know, the stuff like Night Trap and Mad Dog McCree, like, those were the height of cinematic greatness when, I mean, you gotta. When I was a kid, at least. So I think I've got a soft spot for those FMV games, but I understand why in 2019, not that many people are making them. If you make them with, you know, real actors and real video, what's bizarre is that what seemed so expensive back in the day now kind of comes across as very cheap, you know? You're like, wow, they couldn't even be bothered to render realistic 3D graphics. Instead, they just used video, the cheaters. Moreover, those FMV games in 2019 don't necessarily have an amazing track record. Like, you know, we played Late Shift. Late Shift's fine. If you're into FMV stuff, that game's okay. And this is actually one of the things I like about FMV games is they tend to be, you know, extremely short. Late Shift is like 90 minutes long at most. And I appreciate that, you know? It's a nice little, you know, it's not perfect. It's not even close to perfect, but it's a nice little ride, and, you know, does it have replay value? Oh, I would say no. I would definitely suggest that not really is a good answer there. But, you know, so what? It's kind of a fun little interactive movie. And if you want to go the other route, you know, you want to do really impressive, you know, 3D graphics that are photorealistic. It's expensive and it takes time, and your game still ends up being kind of short, and it's not really like what general audiences want most of the time, you know? Like Until Dawn, I love that game. I feel like some people who don't like Until Dawn are missing the point, and that's, you know, you're entitled to, just to be clear. Maybe I should have, but it's just a little too spicy. To go to 2 Spirit Hearts, it's a little much for me right now. I will absolutely take Sack of Sacks. You know, some people are like, Until Dawn is like cheesy horror, and I'm like, yeah, dude, that's what it's going for. It's like it's going for that 80s like, you know, kind of slasher flick vibe where, you know, it's like a house. What is it called? Cabin in the Woods. That's it. It's going for like a cabin in the woods sort of thing, and I think it works really well. But you gotta, you know, you gotta be into that sort of thing or open to it at least. Anyway, I'm happy games like that are still getting made, even if they are not on a widespread. Maybe it's better that they're not that widespread anymore. For real, I almost bought a Sega CD. I have a lot of near misses. Not recently. I mean, like, you know, when I was a kid. I had the choice between like a Nintendo 64 and a Sega CD, and I was like, dude, I want that Sega CD. And my dad talked to somebody at like the local game store, and they're like, yeah, there's not that many games for it, and they're kind of expensive. So he was like, I recommend you get an N64 instead. And I was like, well, the guy at the game store seems like he knows what he's talking about. And guess what? The guy at the game store knew what he was talking about. It was way smarter to get an N64 instead of a Sega CD. Thank you. That guy also saved me from buying a Virtual Boy when I was like 7. Well, my parents were going to get me one. And I know it sounds like now you'd be like, why would you get a Virtual Boy? Hey, if you weren't alive, like, if you weren't making decisions in 1996, 1997, you don't understand. You know, all this stuff, you go like, wow, it's one of the video game industry's biggest blunders. Yeah, in hindsight, at the time, if you were 8 years old, you're like, whoa, a relatively affordable virtual reality experience in the comfort of my own home? Yeah, sure, it's only got, you know, 4 games for it right now, but who knows, dude? This could be the future. And then the guy at the game store told my parents, hey, you know, you can get this for your kid, but also it's bad for their eyes, and supposedly there's been like widespread complaints of headaches. Ooh, that was scary. And stuff like that. And then my parents were like, well, let's not get it then. Did me a solid. That would have been, this is not a great console. However, game store employees screwed me 2 times. One of them is debatable. One of them is like guaranteed. The debatable one is my parents, for Christmas one year, apparently they were like thinking about getting me a Dreamcast. You know, back before it was discontinued. And then the guy at the game store was like, I forget what he told them, and then they relayed it to me. But he was like, you shouldn't get this console, because like there's a new generation of consoles just around the bend that, you know, might be even better. Which is not, and that's why I say it's debatable. I mean, in the end, was he right? I don't know. It depends. You know, we could have this debate forever. Dude, I can't take it. It's a speed down. He did save me from buying a console that, you know, had production of games stopped for it, but at the same time, I missed out on a lot of stuff that, you know, a lot of titles that would end up going on to become very influential, you know? So the original Soul Calibur, you know, Power Stone, no, not Panzer Dragoon. Anyway, a lot, you know, Space Channel 5, Choo Choo Rocket. Regardless, though, that's the debatable one. The other one is for Christmas one year, like, it was Pokemania, dude. It was the first Pokemon had come to the West, and I was like, Mom, Dad, the #1 thing, I don't care if you give me anything else for Christmas, get me Pokemon Red or Blue. I'd prefer Blue, because I'm a Blastoise sort of guy, but, you know, I'll take whatever. Anyway, I open up my presents on Christmas Day. I'm not going to say it was a bad Christmas, you know. Still got socks. Still got shirts. But then you know. I think we do want to go back first. Open up last present. It's not Pokemon. What's up with that? My parents turn to me. They go, hey, we were going to get you Pokemon. We know you wanted it. But simultaneously, we went to Toys R Us and we said, hey, which Pokemon should we get, red or blue? And then the clerk told us, it's a scam. You only get the full game experience if you get both of them. And my parents went, well, that sounds like a freaking scam. Because it does sound like a freaking scam. You're like, why would I? It's like the opposite of Action 52. You're like, $100 for one game? That's insane. Anyway, so they ended up not getting it for me. And then, like, on Boxing Day, I scraped together my allowance money, which, of course, yes, I will admit I was privileged to have in the first place. And went to Toys R Us, bought myself Pokemon Blue. I don't want to be here? Yeah. That time, I mean, honestly, I can't hold a grudge against the Toys R Us clerk for the rest of, you know, my life and his life. But, I mean, that's just bad salesmanship. Unless he was trying to trick my parents into buying both, but I don't think he was. You might have an opinion on it. Here's the thing. You weren't there, and it was like 20 years ago. So your opinion on this subject doesn't really matter that much. I don't want to be offensive, but, you know, it's a situation where you don't need to really weigh in. I mean, you're going off of my own biased memory to begin with, and that's the only source. So, anyway. I appreciate the feedback, but it's inadmissible in this court. Hold on. We want the HP for sure. We don't really need any of these. I'd rather go for broke. So here's the thing. Is it a little boring? Oh, yeah. In a big way. But, simultaneously, it pretty much guarantees us the win. And I don't think we want to even take Spirit of the Night. It's hard for me to not take... I mean, here's the thing. Guaranteeing us the win is like the negative way of framing it's the right decision strategically speaking. So we're going to make the right decision strategically speaking. Just want a speed upgrade, please. And we are A-okay here. Anyway. That's my story with game store clerks. I don't miss the brick and mortar game store. I do miss, you know, the era before everything was GameStop or Electronics Boutique. That era where there were multiple different game stores, you know, there were... I'm not saying it was, like, actually better back then. But it was cool when there were, like, local places you'd go. They had a little bit more flair, you know? There used to be, and the irony here is that this was a chain store. But there used to be a locally owned chain store where I grew up, and probably elsewhere in the province, at least, as well. And, like, they sold video games and, you know, figurines and, you know, collectible trading cards and stuff like that. But you could actually bring, like, Pokemon cards. Like, you could bring a deck and battle the clerk. And if you beat the clerk, he would give you a Charizard. He had, like, I don't know, whatever the maximum allowable amount of Charizards in his deck. At the time, I was like, yo, that's so cool. Now I'm like, that's still pretty cool. Not because of the fact that I was like, whoa, this dude has so many Charizards, which is how I felt about it when I was 11. But I'm like, dude, that's a cool sense of community for a store to have. And that's like the, you know... Now with video games, I haven't seen that in a long time. Mind you, I prefer to buy digitally, so maybe I'm part of the problem. But also, the monopoly was like consolidated when I was 11. So, maybe like 14. So I don't want to, you know, I'm not going to blame myself too much. Let's put it that way. I think we'll just go for this. I don't really need restock here. The closest I've come to seeing things like that now is like, you know, when you play Magic, or, you know, if you go to a local board game store, sometimes they'll have like community nights where you can play stuff, and it's got a good sense of community. It depends on where you go, you know. I've had some I wouldn't call them hostile, but like, you know, some more prickly interactions at some game stores where you're like, you know what, I came here thinking that this was a welcoming place for everybody. What I realized instead is that it's some kind of nerd dojo where you constantly have to prove that you're actually on the same level of nerdiness as everybody else, or else they're going to shun you. And I just can't be bothered. Like, that's it. But then there's other places I've gone and I've been like, hey, everyone here is actually an adult. And that's pretty cool. So I did ruin Empty Vessel here. We don't really want Metronome. I did ruin Empty Vessel here, but it was for a good cause. Picking up an Eternal Heart while mindlessly bantering. It's also the shortest XL floor I've ever seen in my adult life. This is a really nice position to be in, dude. To be on the verge of a double-digit win streak. Yeah, I'll try. Take my HP. Oh, they did it, and they gave me speed. To be on the verge of a double-digit win streak while having, like, the scummiest sort of, like, pseudo min-max coward run that I possibly could have ever constructed for myself, and yet having it be totally defensible as a result of the fact that we've suffered some bad luck recently. I mean, it's a dream come true. It's like that urban legend where if your roommate dies in college, you get all A's for the rest of the semester. You know, people are like, well, it's not fair, but at the same time, I'm not going to be the person that says, you know, hey, re-roll your whole run. He's been through a lot. Anyway. I think, you know, it's cool and stuff like that fosters a sense of community. There's probably still stuff like that around. I just, you know, I have no idea what it is. I also have different priorities now than I did when I was, like, younger, to be honest. Like, you know, I talked about it with respect to the Disney stuff, where I was like, I don't really care who owns any property, as long as they're making the best movie. And, you know, different people obviously have different principles in that matter. My principles are essentially nil, I suppose. There's a, you know, another example is like, you know, coffee shops. You know, Vancouver's got a lot of, like, locally owned coffee shops, and some of them are extremely good. And then there have been some where, you know, you got a choice. You can go to, you know, Tony's Brews, or you can go to Starbucks. You know, you walk into Tony's Brews, you're like, hey, I'll take an iced coffee. Takes 5.5 minutes to come out, and you go, you know what, Tony, I'm sorry to tell you. Next time I'm going to Starbucks. I respect you got a local business here. I'm not trying to put you out of business, but at the same time, oh my God, where am I? At the same time, Tony, you gotta recognize, it's not like, oh, I'm a Mr. Busy Man. I don't know why it's Richard Nixon now. I gotta get where I'm going. Tony, come on, I'm very important. It's more just like, it takes too long. Even if the coffee's like 25% better, you know? If you got stuff to do, you know, it's gonna be an untenable situation. You don't get the support just by virtue of the fact that you're a local business. I think if you offer, you know, a comparable level of product and service, then if you don't go with the local business, you know, you got some splaining to do. But it's not really fair to some extent, because, you know, I trust me, I took Econ 101 by correspondence, an introduction to the foundational concepts of macroeconomics. I understand the economy of scale. The economy of scale is like, hey, you know, Sam Walton of the Walmart family approaches Idaho potato farmers and goes, hey, I want to buy all your potatoes. What's the unit price on that? Oh, they go, well, if you're going to buy all the freaking potatoes, I'll sell it to you for 11 cents per potato. You know? Tony's Grocery, sorry, Tony, it's a bad day for you. Tony's Grocery is like, hey, we need 500 potatoes, you know, per week. They're like, Tony, that's like 30 cents a potato. Come on, man. That's ridiculous. Then the end consumer is like, you know, well, do I go to Tony's Grocery or do I go to the Walmart? Tony's Grocery is, you know, 20% more expensive and has 3 parking spots in front of it. Sometimes they don't even have broccoli. Walmart has 450 parking spots and is air conditioned. I get it. Maybe Tony should stick to the coffee business. I don't know where I'm going with this. Hey, you got your double-digit win streak. Just finish the run without getting yourself in trouble commentarily. I mean, you can... I'm like the opposite of most people in this sense. Most people are like, I hate Walmart. And then they're like, I gotta buy a vacuum cleaner. I'm gonna go to Walmart, but I'm not gonna tell anybody. I don't even know, like, there's a couple Walmarts roughly in the Vancouver area. But I haven't been to one, ironically, for like 5 years or 6 years since we bought a vacuum cleaner. And then the vacuum cleaner sucked, so we haven't been back. Anyway, so I tell you shop at Walmart, and then me, myself, I'm going to Tony's Grocery. It's just down the street. Hey, anyway, thanks for watching. I hope you guys have enjoyed the episode. If you did, click the like button. I've said a great deal. Of course, subscribe if you want to see more in the future. For now, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. See ya!